Good evening and welcome to Nite Line. I'm your host Dante Thompson, and I am not quite dressed for Nite Line yet because I'm in the missions building, and to me it's about 6 o'clock this afternoon. So about 2 hours ago, we're out here in the missions building and showing you all the progress because we leave for the Appalachian project this Thursday. And we've got the big 53-foot loaded up. It's too dark to show you tonight, but it is in fact loaded up. We blew up 900 balls that was all donated from Upward Sports. We had Earl come in, who's our the homeless guy that helps us out there in the Appalachian project, blowing up balls. Today we went out and picked up, I think, 2,000 honey buns from Sam's to give out, got those packaged up, and picked up 70 brand new bicycles, all donated. And so we're so excited. We've got over 200 bicycles that's going up there. We loaded up all the canned goods today for all the families. And so picked up the big Penske's, the 26-foot Penske's today. And half of it's already loaded up with bicycles. The other part is food and honey buns. So, but we still got a long ways to go if we have room. All this that you see right here is going on the truck. A lot of this is kids, girls' clothes. Behind me is a big stack of shoes and other stuff, ladies' winter clothes and stuff. So we still have a lot to do. Tomorrow we will be picking up apples and oranges to go through our into our fruit baskets, our fruit bags. And we definitely need volunteers tomorrow and Wednesday helping out with those fruit bags. So if you'd like to come by and volunteer, we'll be here about 8:30 in the morning and pick up the fruit sometime thereafter. But there's plenty of stuff to do before we get the fruit. Like I said, we're probably getting 2,000 apples and 2,000 oranges, maybe a little bit more tomorrow, and making up all those fruit bags. So definitely need volunteers. I want to thank everybody for all that they have contributed this year, whether it be these clothes or money or toys or anything. This has been one of the biggest Appalachian projects that we've done here since my mother's passing. We're going to hopefully serve 2,000 people this Sunday, and all this stuff will be given out, all the blankets. So that's another thing, we loaded up blankets, got blankets in today, thanks to Faith Temple Church. Pastor Burroughs and all the people over there always are gracious and give us blankets, and so we got those today and loaded up. But it's been a really good year, and I know God's going to do a lot of good things this year in the Appalachian Mountains. So keep us in your prayers. We'll be in Jenkins, Kentucky this Thursday, headed up there. It's about a 4-hour drive or so, and the weather's supposed to be pretty, a little bit cold, but no snow. So we should have pretty safe travels if we don't run into snow going or coming. Yeah, just keep us in your prayers. But we're going to have a good night tonight. Got some great guests, some wonderful music, and you don't want to miss a second of it. But right now, let's go back to 8 o'clock, Dante. Hey, thanks a lot, 6 o'clock, Dante. That was a great report from the missions building. I hope you have fun in the Appalachian Mountains this weekend. No problem, 8 o'clock, Dante. Just remember to remind the folks tonight at 8 o'clock that the prayer vigil will be this Saturday, December 5th, from 10:30 to 2:30, right here at the Channel 16 studios. Oh, that's right, 6 o'clock, Dante. Thank you so much for reminding me about the prayer vigil this weekend. That's going to be right here December 5th in the studios of Channel 16 from 10:30 to 2:30. I want you to come out and join us. You don't want to miss a second of tonight's program. We got Pastor David Smith. He's our co-host. But right now, let's go to some great music from Heart to Heart.
Have you trials and temptations? Do you carry a load that's just too hard to bear? Well, here's a suggestion. If your mind is full of questions and you just can't find the answers anywhere, talk to the Lord about it. Don't bear that burden alone. It's a privilege to carry every need to the Father's throne. He's a friend who's always faithful, and He makes our cares His own. sorrow? And do you worry about tomorrow? And you're waiting on that mountain to move. Well, here's a suggestion. If your mind is full of questions and you just can't find the answers anywhere, talk to the Lord about it. Don't bear that burden alone. It's a privilege to carry every need to the Father's throne. He's a friend who's always faithful, and he makes our cares his own. He loves to listen, don't ever doubt. Talk to the Lord about it. Oh, what peace we often forfeit. Oh, what needless pain we bear. All because we do not carry everything to God in prayer. Talk to the Lord about it. Don't bear that burden alone. It's a privilege to carry every need to the Father's throne. He's a friend who's always faithful, and he makes our cares his own. He loves to listen, don't ever doubt. Talk to the Lord about it. He's a friend who's always faithful, and he makes our cares his own. He loves to listen, don't ever doubt. Talk to the Lord, talk to the Lord, talk to the Lord about it.
Alrighty, Heart to Heart. They're going to be blessing us with music all evening, so make sure you get their latest album, Rejoice. But joining us on Nite Line is Wendy Duke, and she is author of Grace in the Middle, An Imperfect Journey to God's Perfect Plan. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. And of course, David Smith, we hadn't introduced you yet. I had that silly banter between myself earlier.
That was a lot of fun. Monday Night Live.
I want to. That's what I was start calling it. I want to show you guys what actually goes on in my mind, and so y'all experience
That's
the
a scary-
craziness of being.
Well, I was
myself.
just thinking, man, there's two of them.
That's
That's
bad.
what all
isn't it?
these guys were thinking too.
Now they know what my wife has to live with on a daily basis. Well, thank you for being here,
Oh,
Pastor
it's my
Smith.
privilege, always.
So, Wendy, your story and your daughter's story, Savannah, who's going to join us here in a little bit, is remarkable. It's something that's beyond words, really. Why don't you start at the beginning? You know, with your first pregnancy, I guess, and what you've gone through, what God's brought you through.
Okay, well, my story is like many people here in this area. I grew up in the church, grew up knowing who Jesus is, but to be honest, had a very shallow faith. When my husband and I had been married for a couple of years, we had 3 miscarriages in a row before we had our first daughter. And midway through that pregnancy, at our first ultrasound, when we found out she was a girl, we also found out at the same time that she only had 1 leg. And so for the next few months, we struggled with that. We didn't know why. We didn't know what the cause of that was. And then when she was born, she was diagnosed with cancer about a week after she was born. She had a cancerous tumor in her left hip where her leg should have been. And so she started chemo at about 10 days of age. And we spent her first 3 months in the hospital doing chemo treatments and trying to figure out a solution.
Well, after 3 miscarriages, me and my wife went through a miscarriage, so I know somewhat how it is. You know, we got three
Right.
wonderful children now, but you had 3 in a row. Did y'all ever think about giving up on children and maybe adopting, or what kept you going to want to have kids?
Well, like you said, miscarriage is it's one of those struggles that people, that couples deal with, but nobody talks about it really. So there's this loneliness, there's a lot of questioning. For me, there was a lot of questioning of my faith during that time, a lot of wrestling with God over that. We never did consider adoption. I think we would have if we had not been able to have successful pregnancies, but really that was just a time of questioning for me, a real spiritual crisis of faith for me.
Yeah.
But no, we didn't consider. We were still very young, and then when we were pregnant with our daughter Savannah, then the struggles continued, but in a different way.
Well, when the doctor told you of Savannah's condition in the womb, of course, at that time you didn't know it was cancer. She knew she would be born without a leg.
Right.
What was your reaction to that? Because here you have already lost 3 children, and now this one's, being born without a leg, and other, medical conditions is, I'm sure, going through your mind at that point, and what's going on.
Right. Well, certainly those moments were, shocking. You never go to an ultrasound expecting that kind of news
Right.
or diagnosis. But early on, I mean, within the first 30 minutes of us finding out, the doctor, unfortunately, asked us to consider abortion very quickly, almost immediately. That we were young, we should consider all of our options. And my husband, because of the kind of man he is, he immediately answered, "That's not an option for us. This child belongs to God." And so I think maybe God prepared us for that. That we wanted a child so badly that there was never a question that we were going to. This was just something we were going to have to deal with. And so, certainly it was, you think when you finally get to that point, you're kind of at a safe, you're past the, I don't know, the critical stage.
Right.
But, it just was another unexpected turn for us, and another way that God continued to really to draw us closer to Him.
Yeah. Like the title of your book says, An Imperfect Journey to God's Perfect Plan. And, God makes us go through, or allows us to go through certain struggles in our life for His will and for His plan. And a lot of times we can't, and sometimes we'll never know what that plan is on this side of eternity.
That's right.
But it's all to glorify Him.
That's
and your daughter Savannah is glorifying God, and through this story, God's being glorified.
Yeah, we hope so. That's our dream for not only her life, but for our lives as well.
Well, you're definitely an encouragement to me, and I hope you've been, and I know you have been, encouragement to other mothers out there that is going through similar situations that maybe were considering an abortion or something.
Right. That really has been sort of a ministry, some doors that God has opened for us that we could never have planned on. But God's given us an opportunity to speak at a lot of crisis pregnancy centers, fundraisers for organizations like that. But also, we had the opportunity to testify before the South Carolina Senate in the spring on an abortion ban past 20 weeks. That Savannah actually she actually read part of Psalm 139 in front of the Senate. And so we hope that it's an encouragement that there are all sorts of things that happen in the womb, and we are all born with different disabilities and handicaps. Some are visible and some are not visible.
Exactly.
And so, we really hope that our story will encourage young women, mothers who are faced with difficult, decisions, similar decisions like this, where, a child is born with, just something that you can't plan for or expect.
Right. Well, that's saving lives. I mean, I consider birth at conception. 20 weeks, 50 weeks, 1 week, it doesn't matter to me. My wife was, I think, 8, maybe 10 weeks pregnant when she had her miscarriage. And just like you, those 3 that you miscarried, they're in heaven today. I believe that with all my heart. And so you're saving lives through what happened with Savannah. So
we hope so.
I believe
we
so.
hope that maybe it will change somebody's mind or give them hope. That all is not lost. Because there are a lot of voices out there saying that the easiest option is just to abort and start over, and we just believe that there's a reason for everything.
Well, and persuasion on the South Carolina justice, or not justice system, but the lawmakers in Columbia.
Right. Well, there's so many stories that say, of the hard things that can happen and the terrible, the worst case scenarios. And we hope that our story will just be just a story of hope. This is what can happen if you give
Exactly.
babies a chance. If you give moms some hope, to hold on to.
Well, at what point in your life did you decide, okay, I'm going to stop thinking about the worst case scenario and start thinking about the best case scenario for Savannah?
That was during the pregnancy. We, my husband and I just kind of had a meeting of the minds early, within that first week after we had that first ultrasound, and just decided that we were going to think about and dwell on and just decide for ourselves that we were going to think about what she could do, not what she couldn't do, but what she could do. And there's a lot of things that she can do, and she'll be here a little bit later,
to talk
and
to her
she'll
about some of the things that she does that I know I couldn't do. And,
she's faster than I most days.
That is amazing. Well, tell us. We've talked about the pregnancy. Tell us about when she was born.
When she was born, immediately you could tell she had an open lesion where the tumor had broken through the skin. So it was a traumatic first few weeks.
And was the tumor what caused the leg not to grow in the first place?
That's right. There was a tumor in her pelvis and hip area. So the tumor was breaking through the skin. We didn't know what it was for a few days, and so there was a lot of testing, a lot of staying in the hospital. Yeah, that's actually her first chemo treatment, which started at about 10 days. She was about 10 days old.
Well, she looks older than that, but she doesn't look sick.
No, she wasn't for a long time. She started to look like a cancer patient a little bit later on. She started to lose her hair, which babies do anyway. So it was a little less traumatic for us. In that way, God spared us in a lot of ways, and and she doesn't remember any of it. So God has been merciful in many, many ways to us.
Well, tell us about that first treatment there on that picture. That had to be just terrifying.
Yeah, that first, she had a biopsy about a week after she was born, and the doctors they told us that the odds were that it would be benign, that not to worry too much, that they thought it would come back, she would not have cancer, and then she did. And I can remember sitting in the chair, and the doctor came in and told us how sorry he was, but that it was cancer and we need to start thinking about treatment immediately. And I just remember having this moment, and I had been wrestling with God this whole time. This can't be happening. We're good church people. This just doesn't happen to good people. Right. And I just remember sitting in this rocking chair after the doctors left, and just at the top of my lungs saying, "Where is God?" Oh. And I think probably all of us come to a point like that in our faith where we can't see beyond our circumstances. Right. And I know there are probably lots of people that are watching maybe now that are kind of in similar circumstances where they just can't see. They just can't see where God is. But I can look back and know that God was right in the middle. That's why we entitled the book what we did, that His grace was in the middle, even when my faith was not strong, even when my emotions and even when I was very weak, He was strong. And so that's just our message, is that when our circumstances are too big, that God is always bigger than whatever we're going through.
Exactly. Well, after her first surgery there, they thought they got all the cancer out. Right.
She had surgery at Duke at 5 months, and we thought we were in the clear. We thought we got it all. And then on her first birthday, we had a follow-up visit just to check the margins on MRI and things like that. And the tumor had grown back.
So 7 months had passed between that.
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
About 7 months.
Wow.
So it was just this sweet time of God strengthening us, and He brought people alongside us the whole time. Uh-huh. I really kind of had to make some decisions about my faith during that time, and He was still drawing me to Himself. But that really was kind of when I felt like the rug was kind of pulled out from underneath.
You thought
me.
all this was behind you, and then right in the face here, you go down the same road again.
Right. And so we ended up, they referred us to Cincinnati Children's Hospital, And so at 13 months, just after her first birthday, she had her second major surgery.
Wow.
And that was a traumatic surgery. It was about a 12-hour surgery. And but they got it all, and so we've been cancer-free for 14 years.
That's
this
awesome.
October. Yeah.
That's awesome. And Savannah, she's going to be joining us in a little bit. We're about to take a break for a song, but if you had to choose, and I want to ask Savannah the same question, would you change anything?
That is such a hard question.
Yeah. Knowing now what you know.
Yeah. I don't think I don't, well,
I think I'd beg
if I
and
could
plead
choose
and-
for her,
Yeah.
if I could choose for her, sure, I'd choose the easy way. But I think that's why God doesn't give us choices sometimes. He knows what's best for us, and His ways are higher than our ways, and He's done things in our lives that I know that wouldn't have happened otherwise. He called me to Himself during that time. I knew a lot about God, but I did not know God face to face, like Job said. And I came to know God face to face in the hallway at Children's Hospital, at Cincinnati Children's Hospital. And that was when I surrendered my life to Him. And He's totally changed our family's life since that time.
Well, it's so sad. What you said is so true and so sad for people out there. They know God, but they don't know Him on that personal level until something traumatic happens, or they've reached the bottom of the bottom, and they can't go anywhere else but to get to know God and trust Him and to rely on Him. That doesn't make them not a Christian, but they just know God, of God, and they don't have that relationship like you found in the hospital, like you said.
Right.
That's unreal.
But on the flip side of that, Dante, incredible story. On the other side of that coin is when people are placed in a place of desperation, because the enemy of our soul comes to steal, kill, and destroy. But the irony of that for the devil is when he puts us in a place of desperation pushes us to God.
Exactly.
And we become, I can, as a pastor, I can look at someone sing or someone preach or testify or share, and I can really tell what they've been through by their passion.
Right.
Because when you've been through what you've been through, there's a passion for God that is only created when you walk through, when your faith is stretched and you walk through the valley of the shadow of death and declare, I'll fear no evil because God's with me.
Right.
And the only way you know that is when you go through these things. And my favorite life verse is Romans 8:28. I've been thinking about it the entire time you've been talking. That says, knowing this, that all things work together for the good to those who love the Lord and are called according to His purpose. And all things means good things and bad things and challenging things and easy things.
Yeah, He doesn't just say all the good things.
Yeah, it's like pieces of a puzzle that create a picture. And you have to have all these broken pieces that come together to form the picture of God and the purpose for our life. And we walk through those things. And the Bible says we are epistles written of God, read by men. And your story is an epistle. People are reading that and are encouraged by that. We were sharing earlier, as a pastor, I've ministered to people on our staff just recently that have gone through similar things that you've went through. And the world needs to hear the story of faith that we can make it.
Exactly.
In Jesus' name, we can make it.
Exactly. And He's there with us the entire time.
That's right.
And like you said, it took you a little bit, but you figured that out. But, so sad that so many people go through these situations and don't rely upon Him.
Yeah.
It makes it so much easier to rely upon Jesus to bring you through it.
Right.
But
I had so many people that continued to funnel me towards God, to keep pointing me to God, that came alongside me and didn't let me fall. And that's really become a passion for us, and that's really why I wrote the book. I had no ambition to be a writer really, but I thought about how I felt sitting in the, before chemo treatments in the waiting room all by myself with a newborn, and the times in the lab and those hard, very lonely times where it was just me and my baby and God. And I wrote that to come alongside people that might not have Christian friends or might not be a part of a church family yet.
Right.
We need people to come alongside us and to help hold our arms up as Aaron did for Moses, to come alongside us and help us in our faith. We were created for community, for fellowship with God, but it's also the responsibility of the church to come alongside hurting people like you're talking about. And so that's really become a passion for us, is to get the book in the hands of not just people at who are shopping at Barnes and Nobles, but real people who are hurting and who are lonely and who are struggling and who are, alone, sitting in cancer treatment centers and hospitals and facilities like that.
Right. You can relate to people like that. He lets you go through a lot of things so you can relate to other people's situations. I couldn't relate to somebody that's been through your situation, and you couldn't relate to somebody that's been through my situations.
Right.
But that's why he lets us go through a lot of things, I believe.
Right.
And so we can bless others.
I do too.
Well, let's take a break for a song. Heart to Heart's doing a wonderful job. When we come back, we're going to find out more about Savannah, and we're going to meet her here in just a little bit. Right now, Heart to Heart's doing another wonderful song. There He'll Be. Excuse me.
Standing alone, she tried many physicians, but no one could help her case. Jesus came her way, she reached out in faith, and he made her whole that day. There he'll be in the midst of your darkest hour. He'll surround you with his loving power, safe within his arms. You'll find peace in the middle of the fiery trial, when you can't go on another mile and you think you'll never make it. There he'll be. Yes, he will. The end of your road, well, it's growing so close, crying, Jesus, are you near me? I can't make it on my own. He said, child, I've been here through all of your tears. Now let me wipe them all away. There he'll be in the midst of your darkest hour. He'll surround you with his loving power, safe within his arms. You'll find peace in the middle of the fiery trial, when you can't go on another mile and you think you'll never make it. There he'll be. You may be weary from the heat of the battle. Your will to carry on is gone. It's all gone. Put on your full armor, hold up your shield and sword. He's in the midst of that fire. He'll carry you through. Carry you through. There he'll be in the midst of your darkest hour. He'll surround you with his loving power, safe within his arms. You'll find peace in the middle of the fiery trial, when you can't go on another mile and you think you'll never make it. There he'll be, right there in the midst of your storm. There he'll be, friend, he's just as close as the mention of his name. There he'll be.
All right, Heart to Heart. Thank you so much, all the way from Stanley, North Carolina, and their latest CD, Rejoice. Be sure to get you a copy of that. Before we continue our conversation, I want to mention real quick that Yvette has given her heart to the Lord tonight. Isn't that great? She has called our prayer partners and prayed the sinner's prayer. And that's what we're here for. We're here to encourage you, pray with you, and most importantly, if you don't know the Lord, that something we say or we might do will encourage you to make that decision tonight for Him. So I'm excited and rejoicing with you tonight, Yvette. Also, we got a praise report, which I love praise reports. Says, I praise God tonight. I was diagnosed with breast cancer this October. TV16 prayed for me. I took some treatments and a couple of shots today. I got a cancer-free report from my doctor. Isn't that awesome?
Wonderful.
And we've been talking about cancer tonight. In our second hour, we'll also be talking about cancer. Also, this individual had eye surgery, and now their vision is 20/20. So that is wonderful. But joining us now is Savannah Duke. Thank you so much for coming on, Savannah. We're excited to have you. We've been talking to your mother about you and seen some baby pictures of you. You're such a cute baby. Well, I've got a question for you, Wendy and Savannah. Your second surgery was at 13 months old. You were still a baby. My children started walking around 10 to 12 months. And Savannah, you walk now. You've got some crutches or whatnot. But as a baby, were you walking by then, or when did you start walking? You might remember better, Wendy.
She started pulling up in her crib when she was about probably 10 months old or so, which is considerably later than most babies that age. But she was having to pull up with all up her body. That's right. And then she got her first walker when she was close to 2. We, the wonderful people at Shriners Hospital, provided a very tiny little walker that had a little basket on the front and ended up with a horn that she let everybody know she was coming. So that was about just before she turned 2.
So really not that far delayed then?
No, not really.
Wow. Well, has this ever kept you from doing anything you want, Savannah? Of course, you're born like this. This is really all you know, but has it ever kept you from doing anything you wanted to do?
Not really. I mean, like you said, I've had this my whole life, so I can't really, I'm not like someone who has lived life normally and then has something like this happen, so they have to cope with these things. I just kind of come up with some crazy way of doing stuff.
Which is normal for you. And in my opinion, you're as normal as anybody else. I mean, there's people out here that's able-bodied, and they don't live life to the fullest or half of the fullest that you live life. And I think we need to encourage them to do it, and I think you are an encouragement to them as well. So you do a lot of things that I couldn't do. You tell us some of the activities that you've overcome and learned to do.
Well, I've been swimming since I was 5, I think.
Wow.
About 3. So
Oh,
we
well,
learned.
okay, never mind.
Wow.
But I mean, I swam for my summer league team since I was 5. I swim for my high school team since 7th grade.
Wow.
And yeah, that's pretty crazy, but I really like it.
Good, good. And what else do you do? I saw a picture of you rock climbing in the book.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
I do basically whatever I get put in. I show up places and I just do whatever.
Now, is that ice skating?
She just figures out a
Oh,
way.
goodness, I couldn't do that.
That's with her brother.
Oh, my goodness.
They were ice skating last winter.
You can cook too? Wow.
Barely.
That
Hey, it's better, again, better than I can do. I can't boil an egg, I don't think.
that is that we do a lot of international sports development now. God's really kind of changed the direction of our lives since she was born. My husband and I both just really developed a heart for the people of the world that have never heard of Jesus. That they don't have television programs like this, or even churches in their countries. A lot, 40% of the world has never heard of Jesus, and so we just became so burdened by that. And my husband started a nonprofit just after she was born, about 10 years ago, and so we do international sports missions.
Wow.
Projects.
And where all have you been around the world?
Mostly restricted countries that don't allow Christian organizations, and so we go in and we're legitimate sports development. That's what we do. We just happen to be Christians, and so we just share our faith as we go. As Jesus said, as you are going, make disciples. And so we've been to Malaysia. We've spent about we lived for 5 months, 2 months one summer and 3 months last fall, 2 falls ago, in Myanmar, which was an incredible experience. Our family
That's also
had the
known as
opportunity
Burma, right?
That's right.
All right.
That's right. It's a very closed country, but a wonderful people, loving, very hospitable people that are open to the truth of the gospel. And so we had the opportunity to live with them and to become really family with them.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, Savannah participates in that and everything else. She lives a normal life, and we are here in South Carolina, but God gives us the opportunity to have impact in places around the world as well. And that really stemmed from the situation, the experience where we, like I said before, we really came to know God face to face and developed a burden for people who had not had that, the privileges that we've had.
Well, I know they got a picture of you as a very little baby, an ultrasound picture. So I want to put that up on the screen. You know, when you found out about Savannah and this ultrasound here, they encouraged you to abort her. I guess I was on my second or third child, and we just had done a ultrasound that day. Little heartbeats going about 120 beats a minute, you know. And that night I was on television, and we had an abortion program on. And I got them to make a DVD of that for me, and I showed it on Nite Line that night. And that is a living human being right there, and here she sits now. And that's what people need to know, that they cannot abort these little precious babies just because they're unborn or have a disability in the womb. And I admire you for that. And here she is sitting here, 15 years old, going to high school, doing all the things that I wish I could do. And it's just phenomenal. And those little, I wouldn't want to say little decisions, but that decision not to abort has not only given her life, but changed your life.
It has. Fortunately, we had the support network to be able to deal with that, to be able to, you know, to have the resources to, you know, get treatment for her and to take care of her the way she needed to be taken care of. And I think that there are just so many women that are so afraid. You know, they have a pregnancy that maybe they didn't plan on, or it hasn't gone the way they, you know, thought it would go, and they don't feel equipped, they don't feel capable, they're afraid. And, you know, that's what our message constantly is, that you can do this. God can help you, that you are not too far from God, no matter where you are, no matter what you've done, you're not too far from God, that He can help you. And, you know, I just think it's one thing to be pro-birth, and it's another to be pro-life. And so we've got to come alongside the women to help them make the decision, to give them the, you know, the hope and the encouragement to be able to say, okay, I can do this, I can do this. So that's really kind of become a passion for our family, is to come alongside the mothers to help them choose, you know, to have the hope and the encouragement to be able to choose to keep their babies.
How do you talk to a mother that maybe has already been through an abortion? How do you encourage a mother like that?
Oh, you know, I would just say God is mercy. He is merciful. He is forgiving. There is nothing that we can do that is too much to come back to Him. And, you know, abortion is such an, it's portrayed as such an easy option, you know, that it's just that easy button. And we know that there's no such thing as an easy button. And I know so many women, I have friends, you know, who have regretted that decision. They were either talked into it, or, you know, they just thought that it was the best, the easiest solution for them. And they are still suffering and grieving and suffering the consequences, you know, emotional consequences of that. And, you know, I just hate that it's portrayed as such an easy option, because there's nothing easy about abortion for anybody, for the mother or for the baby, of course. But destruction, so much damage that's done. And so our message is constantly that God loves you no matter what, and that there is always redemption available.
Myself, I was adopted, and I often think of, you know, of course, I was born in '85, and the abortions weren't what they are now, but I don't know if they were as easy to acquire or whatnot. But I often think, my goodness, if I would have been aborted, I mean, I know of 3 people on the earth that wouldn't be here, and that's
Yeah.
my little children, you know. And I think sometimes people don't think about, you know, not only that life in their life, but the lives that was to come as well.
Right.
So,
Dante, I was telling Wendy that we work with our Pregnancy Resource Center in our county very closely. It's one of our main mission projects for our church, and so it's a passion of ours as well. And what I've learned over the last few years working with them is that I had this image in my mind. When you talk about someone that's been through this, I had this image in my mind that it would take an evil person to just go and have a baby slaughtered. And then I began to realize when I began to meet some of these mothers that it's a lack of information like this. They're given they're given a story, they're given a line, if you will, by some people who are evil and are motivated by evil, but they give them such a line of misinformation. And that's why it is so important, these pregnancy resource centers, stories like yours, Wendy's and Savannah, to share what God has done and the truth about life, and that life does begin at conception, and all the things you were sharing with your children. I have 3 children as well. I have twins. I'll never forget looking at that ultrasound of my wife saying, we had a daughter first. She said, there's your son, and then there's another picture, and there's your daughter. And it was an amazing moment. You know, I think any parent that's ever seen that. So this is so inspiring that there are good people who are just misinformed.
yeah.
And they're scared. You know, most of the time it's just absolute fear. What do I do? And desperation in that moment a decision is made that really becomes fatal for that child. And so there is grace and there is mercy, but I think this information and your testimony and your story, that it's not the only choice, and it's the wrong choice.
Yeah.
And there's a better choice.
You know, and there are so many crisis pregnancy centers that they are coming alongside these women, and they're giving them
Yes,
hope, but they're also
absolutely.
equipping them with parenting skills. They're
Yes.
equipping them with, you know, the supplies that they need, so that these women
Yes.
feel like, okay, I can do this. And that's what it's all about. It's about giving women the courage by equipping them.
Exactly. I know this weekend, at the beginning of the show, we were talking about the Appalachian Project there in the missions building, but we're going to be going to a ministry there in the Kentucky region that helps newborn babies with the mothers. We're bringing a lot of diapers up there, taking them. So there's a
Great.
lot of missions out there
Absolutely.
that helps newborn mothers.
And the good news is there were fewer abortions last year
That's right.
than there were 5 years ago.
That's
Every
awesome.
year
It's
it's
on a
going
decline.
down because of stories like yours
Yeah.
and those who are making an impact and trying to inform mothers and fathers who are, you know, oftentimes the influencers in that decision. So yeah, I thank God, and everybody that's watching, you know, someone may be flipping through the channels tonight, they may be watching and are in this place.
That's
And
right.
what would you say to them, that person that's just, they're in a crisis moment and they've got to make a decision?
Oh, I would just say exactly what I was saying before. You can totally do this. You can do
Yes.
this. That God is faithful, and He
Amen.
will equip you. When we choose God, He is always going to help us out.
Exactly.
You know, but at the same time, we as a church, like we were saying before, we as a church have got to come alongside people and offer the help that they need. But if you're watching and you're in that place, you can do this. God is going to come alongside, and He's going to provide what you need,
Yes.
and He'll take care of you.
That's right.
Yes, He will.
And you're not alone.
That's
no matter
right.
if you feel alone, maybe it's just you, but we're here for you. You can call that number on the bottom of the screen and pray with a prayer partner tonight. You know, you can call it during normal business hours if you want to call it that, but you can call it anytime. 244-1616. It's been that number for many years. Anytime you need somebody to pray with you, to talk to, or to encourage you, you can call us, or you can come by the station and we'll pray for you here. But find a good church to get into. Pastor, you know the importance of that. You've had these
Absolutely.
situations in your church and how you supported these people. Wendy, you were supported by your church during
That's
this
right.
situation. So find a good church to get into if you're not in church. But go to the phone right now if you're watching tonight and you need prayer for anything. 244-1616. That's why we're standing by. And that's why we're here. That's one of the most powerful things that this ministry offers, and that's prayer partners. And it's one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful force on the planet, I believe. That's the power of prayer.
Absolutely.
So, we're going to go to one more song this hour. When we come back, we're going to wrap up with Wendy and Savannah. But right now, Heart to Heart, standing by to sing I Overcome.
When things are going wrong, I start singing a song. To Him my hands I raise. I thank God for His mercy. I thank God for His grace. In every situation I get sweet consolation. I overcome with praise. Paul and Silas in jail, no one to go their bail. In the midnight hour, they still had God's power, and they prevailed. They started singing and praising, and got the victory. Their chains were loosed and broken by the words that were spoken, and they were set free. Prayer, I overcome with praise. When things are going wrong, I start singing a song. To Him my hands I raise. I thank God for His mercy. I thank God for His grace. In every situation I get sweet consolation. I overcome with praise. If you got a problem you think nobody can solve, let me tell you, my friend's name is Jesus. He's the one to involve. When your burdens get heavy, don't start singing the blues. Put a smile on your face, thank Him for His grace, and believe that His word is true. I overcome with prayer. I overcome with praise. When things are going wrong, I start singing a song. To Him my hands I raise. I thank God for His mercy. Yes, I do. I thank God for His grace. In every situation I get sweet consolation. I overcome with praise. I thank God for His mercy, and I thank God for His grace. In every situation I get sweet consolation. I overcome with praise. In every situation I get sweet consolation. Overcome with praise.
Alrighty, Heart to Heart. Thank y'all so much. And they're going to be joining us in the second hour to bless us with some more great music. So you don't want to go anywhere. But we're going to wrap up this hour with Wendy and Savannah Duke. If you're just joining us, first off, shame on you. But if we're going to catch you up, Savannah, you were born with no leg. And then once you're born, they found out you had cancer. Went through multiple operations and chemo. And today, here you are, a normal girl doing things I only dreamed that I could do. One of them's cooking and swimming and all those good things, and rock climbing. And but you're also a co-authored this book with your mother. And the name of the book, by the way, Grace in the Middle, An Imperfect Journey to God's Perfect Plan. Tell us what inspired you to write a chapter in the book with your mother.
Well, first off, I was kind of asked to, because I had never thought about doing anything like that. But they asked me to write a chapter about just my side of the story, but also kind of catching up, because it's been written a couple of times, but this is like this is obviously the most recent. But they asked me to kind of write a chapter on my turn of this whole story, but also just how I've lived my life after that.
Yeah, and the name of the chapter is, in fact, Through Savannah's Eyes. So now y'all have been as many book signings and things like that. You get to meet a lot of people, but that's encouraging to people, isn't it?
We have. It's been fun, and she's pretty comfortable with people. She's a true extrovert. I'm a little more introverted.
Y'all both,
so
I think, have a future in television. I think y'all are gunning for my job tonight, so, which is fine by me. So.
But yeah, we've had. It's been. I wrote the book first for just sort of family and friends and people who had kind of been through this journey with us, and then. We republished it last fall, and through a friend who was an editor encouraged me to republish, and then Ambassador International, which is a publishing company here in Greenville, actually, picked it up. And so they've published it nationally, and it's available internationally as well. And so that was a blessing. They're a great company, and they've been very supportive, and they asked if Savannah would write the last chapter. And a friend of mine was describing it. She said it's like it's this hard story, and you're going through all these hard things, and you've worked through it, and it's like you're going through this storm, and then you read Savannah's chapter, and it's like this burst of sunshine. So yeah, hers is definitely the best chapter in the book.
Wonderful. I think it's got a great ending. Of course, the ending's not over yet. So
that's right.
I think y'all got a lot of good days ahead of y'all. So, and now you have a son as well.
We do.
That's exciting.
You want to tell him about your brother?
You like your brother?
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
It depends on what day it is.
Well, now, and he had no problems in the pregnancy there.
That's right.
Everything went fine there.
That's right.
That's wonderful. So God blessed you with a son as well. So.
He did.
Wonderful. Well, where can people get the book?
You can get the book online at Amazon.com. It's also available at Barnes & Noble and local bookstores here in this area, at least, that I know of. Christian Supply is carrying it. And so Amazon carries it, barnesandnobles.com, and you can also go to Ambassador International's website and find it as well.
Awesome. So. And is it available in ebook form as well?
It is.
Awesome.
It's 99 cents today through midnight today. So.
Go on, on Amazon.
Amazon, that's
go
right.
and download
That's
it on
right.
your Kindle for 99 cents. So that's not bad. I'm going to do that. So I love ebooks because I can carry them on my phone, on my iPad.
That's right.
You know, I can't lose them unless I lose my phone. Then I get a new phone and just download the book again. So it's awesome. Well, if somebody wants y'all to come and speak at their event or at their church, how can they get a hold of you? And would you be glad and willing to do that?
Absolutely. God's really kind of opened that door for us to be able to encourage people. And like I said, come alongside people. I have a website. I blog and write, and we have some videos and things like that up. It's wendyduke.net. wendyduke.net.
wendyduke.net. Awesome. Now, where's your next travels going to be taking y'all?
We actually have a couple of projects in the fall. My husband will be going to West Africa, and then we have a trip where we'll be encouraging some overseas missionaries in the spring. That'll be a kind of a conference in Italy. So,
awesome.
Yeah, we're excited about that.
Awesome. And y'all do your sports events here in the States as well?
We do prison ministry here in the States. Wow. Yeah, that's really sort of exploded in the last. God's opened a lot of doors for us, and we're grateful for the people we get to meet and the opportunities that we get to have. He's shown us a lot of amazing things.
Wonderful.
I'm thinking to go from a passive Christian, as you described yourself, to traveling into unreached people groups and prisons. Yeah. That's pretty significant.
Yeah.
Would you have gotten there without this?
No chance. No chance. I was a high school basketball coach, and I was all about building my own career and resume, and God just completely turned the tables on me.
Wow. See, that's what God does through
That's right.
tragedy into triumph.
Well,
That's right.
like your title says, he's in the middle the whole way through it. So
So well, the thing that we're trying to do now is to, and this is one thing that we encourage people to do. If they've already read the story or bought the book, we have, this fall we've had sort of a campaign to donate, to buy a copy, and we're donating them to children's cancer treatment centers, children's hospitals, chemo, waiting rooms in cancer treatment centers and places like that. We've had about 75 books that we've been able to donate to just local hospitals here and treatment facilities, just to have them there for those people who are in the middle of that kind of a storm.
And if somebody wants to donate a book like that, they can reach you on your email or by phone.
Absolutely.
And if you miss the number, you can call our prayer partners and get that from them. So put it up one more time just in case. We still got time, don't we? We got time? How much time we got? They don't tell me how much time we got. We got like 1 minute anyway. Well, it's been a wonderful hour. Thank y'all both for being here with us tonight.
Thank you so much for having us.
And let me tell you, your story is encouraging people. It's encouraged me tonight, and it's blessed me tonight. So,
Thank you.
It's oftentimes for myself to, like you said, to just know God, and know of God, but not know Him, and what you've gone through. Really wants me to get closer with God myself. I don't need to wait till I go through a tough time to really get buddy with God. I need to stay there, and that your story has encouraged me tonight.
Well,
so
and He says, if you seek me with all of your heart, I will be found by you.
That's right. Amen. So, but hey, this hour is come and gone. Be sure to join us in the second hour, where we're going to be talking about the cancer treatments of the cancer centers of America. You don't want to miss that. Also, our prayer partners are standing by during the break and in the second hour. So please, please, please call us, and we want to pray with you. We'll see you in just a minute.